When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle.
Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish,
the podcast that was recently cast as Holding Cockfield in the upcoming intercrural porn Catcher in the Thigh.
You said cock, and I immediately thought rooster because today's going to be a clucksterfuck. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz.
And we're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality.
And boy, a clucksterfuck it is going to be.
Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Mike.
This one's going to be rough.
Can I leave yet? Or do I have to do this episode with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about bestiality.
We're going to talk about bestiality.
Or bestiality, as the British lady I listened to said a whole bunch in her podcast. But we're talking about bestiality.
We're going to talk about bestiality.
There's good reason. We'll say this in the episode, it's often connected to gay shit as like the slippery slope argument. So like, this is why we've done topics like incest, like pedophilia. We talk about them because they are things that are thrown in our face as to why we don't deserve rights. Yep. So it's interesting someone in the past on Twitter, someone like, that sent like in our DMs a MAGA flag and was like, you fucking suck, you're a pedophile because of Jeffrey Epstein, and was like, because of him, I was like, you mean that straight guy that's a pedophile? Like, that's a bad example. Anyway, he like pointed out, like, you talked about pedophiles. It's like, yeah, we're allowed to talk about the insults that are thrown at us. There's danger in it because then people can say, look, you talked about it, and that's proof of something. I don't know what.
I mean, really, we can talk about whatever the fuck we want to because it's our fucking show.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, if this offends you, fuck off. But anyway, we're not there yet. Don't fuck off yet.
But first, here's some feedback. Okay, feedback in the form of an iTunes review.
Uh-oh.
The title was Sasha Colby in all caps. Not caring about the finale and don't even care to ask? Ha! Whack! We get you don't care for Drag Race, but put some respect on Sasha Colby. 1 star.
Damn. All right. Hey, if you're okay with the fact that we don't care about Drag Race, go rate, review, and subscribe because that helps us.
Yeah. Please help us undo that 1-star review, y'all. Just cause.
Speaking of, we can talk about whatever we want to on our podcast. Yeah. I guess, but then people get to rate however they want to. So I support your 1-star review. This is what I don't feel bad about 1-star reviews that accurately say here's a thing about your show, and they're like, oh yeah, you're right. And if you wanted a big Drag Race review, this is not the place to get it. So you correctly assessed that we are not the people for that. So
like the dude that got pissed that we shit on Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't care about you, Cleveland. Anyway,
now the news.
Shut your mouth hole. It's time for your ear holes. News.
News the first. Dickbag fuckface assholes in Montana, Kyle.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, sorry. We got to talk about Montana again.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row. Montana Governor Greg Gianforte has signed into law a bill banning gender-affirming care for trans minors. So it'll take effect October the 1st, and it has been called, quote, draconian by the Human Rights Campaign.
Damn.
But really what I want to talk about, it's not significantly different from the like shitload of other states that are doing very similar things, right? Like
equally horrifying then.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly. But it is interesting that he did that despite the fact that he has a gay non-binary son.
Damn.
Yeah.
Fuck you, I guess, my son.
Yep. David Gianforte, who is 32 years old and is the son of Republican Montana Governor Greg Gianforte, came out as non-binary and is lobbying his father to veto anti-LGBTQ legislation. He spoke with the Montana Free Press a few weeks ago, and he uses he, they pronouns and came out to his family as gay in 2021. And he set up a formal meeting and read a statement that he also provided to the newspaper. Quote, "Hey, Dad, thanks for setting aside time to meet with me. It means a lot to me. There are a lot of important issues passing through the legislature right now. For my own sake, I've chosen to focus primarily on transgender rights, as that would significantly directly affect a number of my friends. I would like to make the argument that these bills are immoral, unjust, and frankly, a violation of human rights. They asked him about it later. He said, I do have a family relationship with my father that I'm trying to preserve. I felt that the best way to go about this would be to reach out to him in a more formal manner, and he was very willing to meet with me, but apparently not do a fucking thing different.
Can you imagine, like, having your son and being like, oh, wow, I'm going to directly hurt my son and still passing something? Like, that's, man, some people's love is not unconditional.
Yep.
And that sucks.
He said, quote, it's bizarre to me to read the press release that my father put out. He talks about compassion toward children, the youth of Montana, while simultaneously taking away health care from the youth in Montana. It's basically a contradiction in my mind.
Yeah.
And he publicly supported Representative Zooey Zephyr, who's the trans woman that they ousted now from the House.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just Montana, get your shit together.
Fuck you.
And like 17 other states in the last 2 weeks.
Most of the United fuck off most of the United States, I guess.
News the second. So in the United Kingdom, there has been a push by a organization called Turning Point UK, or TPUK, and they have been protesting a pub called Honor Oak Pub, who has been hosting family-friendly drag events. So they've been going and protesting, trying to prevent people from going to these drag shows. Turns out that TPUK is actually an offshoot of an American far-right group. So we're exporting this bullshit, apparently.
Sorry, everybody.
And at their latest attempt here just yesterday, so the over the weekend, apparently counter-protesters showed up, and they outnumbered the protesters and drown out all of their chanting with George Michael songs.
I love that's beautiful.
Yep. This is in Southeast London in a I think neighborhood called Lewisham, which I hope I pronounced right, because it seems like a lot of really old British names.
We'll get some emails that are like, it's pronounced Lewisham.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, thanks. I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah, so it's a drag story time and brunch, and the host is called That Girl, and that's a great name. Yeah. She put out the call and said, it has come to our attention that there are plans to protest another of our events. I would like to thank you all for your support of the previous two. We cannot do this alone. We're calling you again to stand with us against this bigotry. And so I guess the police kept the two groups separated from each other, and it's literal fucking Nazis, Kyle. That's what's happening.
Yeah, when you're standing there and you look around and you see like a Nazi symbol, you're in the wrong spot. It doesn't matter where you are. Leave. You're not. That's the wrong place to be. You're on the wrong literal side of get the fuck out of there.
Yep.
Literal Nazis are agreeing with you. Get out. And it's. I think I've seen so many times that the counter protesters outnumber the protesters. This is such a vocal minority, and it sucks that they're the ones that are controlling our like government and like the conversation in the country. It is a minority. It is a minority of people. This is not everyone who wants this. This is not even hashtag not all Republicans. It's not all Republicans that want this.
Right. Yeah. Polls are consistently showing, at least in this country, that over half of the U.S. is pissed about all of this anti-trans horse shit.
Yeah.
So, 57% was the latest one that I saw. I think it was USA Today.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, sorry UK for us giving you our horse shit. Although to be fair, y'all have J.K. Rowling, so maybe.
They exported some shit our way too. Like take a little, give a little.
Yeah, it's a little tits for tats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, news the last. So Bernie Wagenblast, who is the voice that you hear on New York subways, has come out as a trans woman.
Oh.
So Bernie Wagenblast began living full-time as a woman at the start of 2023, took to social media to make the announcement.
Vaccines, man. They'll do that to you.
Yeah, right. Oh, my God. She had known since childhood that her true gender was not the one she was assigned at birth. On the WNYC podcast Death, Sex, and Money, Wagenblast, who's now 66, said she recalled first feeling like a girl at age 4. Quote, I remember clearly being at my grandmother's house, sitting in front of her vanity, putting on some of her necklaces, and I think she had powder at her vanity and putting that on my face. It felt good. It felt natural. It felt like, why can't I do this? I'm not sure when I first came across the impression that this wasn't okay, but I think fairly soon I realized that this was not okay. So she was on a podcast. It was WNYC's podcast, Death, Sex, and Money. And I have a clip of her from that podcast where she sort of makes fun of herself and the voice that she recorded that's now ubiquitous in New York City.
It's a computer putting together all these little words and phrases that I recorded and trying to make a sentence. So it would sound something like, the next, downtown, number 1, will arrive in 1 minute.
I know that.
I recognize that voice.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Anyway, and she said she's decided not to change her name, which is something that trans people do sometimes. She said, Bernie Wagenblast, I prefer to be called Bernie, and that still fits my gender. Bernie can be short for Bernadette.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's really important to see people of all ages coming out as trans or just being trans, because so many people say it's like, oh, this is a Tumblr generation, this is a Gen Z thing, this is because, like, no, it's not. People of all ages are trans.
Yep.
You just don't know about them, and there are not more left-handed people. That, like, it's just when we start to be more open about identities and people learn more about them and people feel more comfortable coming out, then that's what happens.
I really just sort of love the idea that the Proud Boys wouldn't ride the subway anymore because it's a trans ass voice or something.
I mean, I feel like trans people are wriggling their little fingers all over. You know, we got Bud Light. Like, there's so many things. It's just like, just have a little finger in everything, and pretty much they won't be able to be in the country because too much of it will be trans. Let's trans the water.
Let's trans. We're dumping some glitter into Hudson Bay.
Glitter, trans the water, and then you can't live here. You got to move.
Right. Yep.
That's the ideal.
And that's the news.
Wow, that was like an official. You've never done that before, Mike. Why did that sound like an official thing we always do? Speaking of drinking the water, these people have been drinking our Kool-Aid. Our new Patreon members. Thank you to Eliman or Eli Man. I don't know.
LMNO?
No. Element, no. Stefan Wickley.
Stefan?
Yes.
It's not Steven.
It is.
Stefan?
What, Mike? Okay. I know I read some things wrong, but I do know the word Steven. I do. I've read that name a couple times in my life. And Nathan Olson. Nailed it. Nailed Nathan. So if you want to join Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/gayish podcast to get bonus content episodes and get episodes a day early, ad free. It's great. You should do it. You'll love it.
You'll love it. You were talking about bestiality,
I'm
Kyle?
so excited, Mike. Okay. Why are we you were the one that suggested this topic.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good. I like and support it. But why did you suggest this? Why this? Why now? Why us?
Well, why now? I don't know.
I don't know either. You didn't have to answer any of those.
Sometimes we have a production meeting and I'm like, fuck it. This is the mood I'm in right now, everybody. Enjoy.
Yep.
Well, no, I mean, I think at the end of the day, there is this like cluster of shit that dickbag fuckface assholes always mention in a row like they're somehow related. Homosexuality, pedophilia, and bestiality. They're like a package deal, and we've covered a lot of gay stuff, and we did an episode about pedophilia, and I thought, well, we got the unholy trinity, like we need to complete the circuit or whatever, so that our triforces can combine and we can rise up into the sky and slay the dragon. I don't know.
I am gay Captain Planet. When your jewelry spits out rainbow lights. Sorry, Captain Planet was already gay. That just clicked for me.
Yeah.
Gay Captain Planet is Captain Planet.
Especially the green one.
One of them is animals, is heart. Remember, you could talk to animals?
Oh.
This is our heart episode.
This is our heart episode.
Yes. Okay. And I actually have examples of what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure I did this in other similar episodes of some of us. Sometimes when I think about this, like, oh, connecting bestiality and gay shit, like that's old news. Like people don't do that anymore. And wrong.
They do all the time.
Yeah. And I have just a few examples that I wanted to share with you.
Mm-hmm. Did you just make a goose sound?
Yeah. I say I disagree with bestiality, except geese.
Yeah. Oh,
they're so pretty.
great. Geese are assholes.
I know. I fucking hate them. Never mind. The geese lovers are gonna send me an email to be like, geese aren't assholes. You're just not petting it right. It's like, I'll pet geese however I want. Ben Carson.
Oh God.
Remember? 2016 Republican presidential candidate.
Not dead.
Not dead. Loves Pokemon or something.
Really?
Or mentioned there was something in the news about Pokemon. I forget.
That's interesting. It was Herman Cain that died, and then everybody thought Ben Carson was dead because apparently all black assholes are the same.
I don't remember that. Whoops. Okay. In 2013, there's a quote on Fox Nation. I'm just going to read it.
Great.
Well, my thoughts are that marriage is between a man and a woman.
Great.
We're already in it. It's a well-established fundamental pillar of society, and no group, be they gays, be they NAMBLA, be they people who believe in bestiality, it doesn't matter what they are, they don't get to change the definition.
Yeah.
Exactly like you said, it appears in a row, always with this kind of slippery slope argument.
Also, I know NAMBLA is a thing, and sometimes I wonder if I were going to invent an organization to help push a narrative, it would be them.
Why? Oh, like the right would create. They've done this. They've started, like, there was a bigger push at one point, but like on 4chan, people said, like, put P as in pedophile in LGBT, like P or whatever, and pretend like it's part of the community when it's really not. So they do these misinformation or disinformation campaigns to intentionally try to connect them.
Yep.
And it works sometimes.
Yep.
So like these words matter. People hear this. And then, so part of the reason I included this one is because he tried to clarify. I'm going to read you this. He clarified, like there was all the different clarifications he tried to do on different news sources, but I'm going to read you the one he did on New York Magazine. I wasn't equating those things. I don't think they're equal. Just, if you ask me for apple and I give you an orange, you would say, well, that's not an orange. And then I say, that's a banana. That's not an apple either. And there's a peach. That's not an apple either. But where are we, Ben Carson? What are we doing? But it doesn't mean that I'm equating the banana and the orange and the peach. And in the same way that I'm not equating those things, my point was that once we start changing the definitions, then where do we stop?
Great.
Like, so not only did you make us a delicious fruit salad, you stuck with where does it stop, which is the original issue, which is the point.
Yeah. That word salad was delicious.
I would love an orange, peach, banana, apple, little fruits mixture. So now I'm hungry and angry. The Kyle Getz story. Okay. Another person, Lynn Hutchings, member of the Wyoming State Senate, representing Cheyenne.
This is going to be a good one.
In 2019, a high school gay-straight alliance went to Cheyenne, the capital.
Great.
They were asking people, they were talking about a bill that would help ban workplace discrimination against LGBTQ people. So back in 2019, that was making the rounds, and they were asking people to support it. So they ran into her apparently, and they asked her to support it. And in the conversation, she denies this, but allegedly said, if my sexual orientation was to have sex with all of the men in there, and I had sex with all of the women in there, and then they brought their children, and I had sex with all of them, and then brought their dogs in, and I had sex with all of them, would I be protected for my sexual orientation?
Good Lord.
You're talking to fucking high schoolers. Like, Jesus Christ. I get as adults, sometimes Trump says shit, and you're like, holy shit. But, like, you're talking to high schoolers. And that's your... Anyway, again, she said and then best part, she attempted to fist bump the students before leaving.
Oh my God. Well, okay.
Later, bro. Walk off.
Yeah.
Again, she denies she said that.
And then she totally blew a cat in the alley before she went home.
Right, because apparently that's what she's having sex with men and women and dogs and children, I guess. I don't know what. Anyway, that bill, House Bill 230, the sponsor, Dan Zwanitzer. We know that bitch.
We know that bitch.
I only know that because I actually looked it up on there, like on the website, to see like whatever happened to that bill. It said H did not consider and COW, Committee of the Whole.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is it did not proceed to get voted on or anything.
Well,
no surprise.
thanks, Representative Swanitzer.
Yeah. The last one in January 2023, which is the present year we're in.
Yeah, that's
if you're
now.
listening to this later, in Florida, at the Florida Atlantic University,
Gonna be great.
interim provost Michelle Hawkins was having a conversation during a faculty meeting where one of the discussion points was the university was collecting info to provide to Florida Republicans. They had requested information about DEI initiatives.
Sure.
Because
we got to have a list of them so we can shut them down.
to make because they had legislation that was prohibiting spending funds on DEI, CRT, other, they called them discriminatory initiatives. And, they were talking about like, well, why are you complying? This list kind of highlights Black and LGBTQ faculty members unnecessarily. So Hawkins, the interim provost, at least at the time, I don't know, said, we did not do that. We did not know what color, if they were purple, if they had sex with animals. I mean, we had no idea of what we were doing. We did not put anyone under the bus. And then the person that was having this conversation or in conversation or whatever during this faculty meeting said, please don't equate being LGBT with having sex with animals. And Hawkins said, oh, are you kidding, Alan? And this person said, no, I am not kidding. Later, their conversation continued a little bit where this person tried to like steer the conversation back to like the Black and LGBT employees that they were worried about. And Hawkins said, I doubt that they do have sex with animals. I don't know. Not many people do.
He's incorrect.
I think Michelle Hawkins. She is.
Oh, she's incorrect. Lots of people have sex with animals.
Will we get to that?
We're going to get to that.
Oh, boy. Anyway, so, this was actually the person that was having this conversation who...
Okay.
Oh.
As awful and fucking terrible as that whole thing is, and she's clearly like doing the thing, I just can't get over saying that she was going to put them under a bus. You don't place someone under a bus. You throw them under a bus.
As I was reading that, I was like, that's very weird. I will gingerly place you under the bus and then wave the bus on or something. I don't know. You throw them. I mean, don't do that. Anyway, yes. And so the person that would have had this conversation that called her out during it to be like, don't do that, also said later, he doesn't think her intent was to do this. And he thinks this is one of those, like, he's like, I think this is a moment where you get to teach someone, like, here's how you're. So I won't say that. Unlike Ben Carson, I won't like just universally shit on her for I don't know how she actually feels, or hopefully she learned and understood that like that joke isn't funny. And like even going to like the purple like thing for like
why
race,
I was just gonna say that why do people when they're trying to say how not racist they are suddenly call people fucking purple?
It's like, no, I don't care if you're, and then you just have to list colors because like all of a sudden you don't care if they're green, which is like that was. We're not, I don't know. That is very much like I'm not racist, but.
And if you run into a green person, take them to the hospital.
They have jaundice.
Yeah, that purple person can't breathe. You should do the Heimlich.
Or place them under a bus.
Yeah, right.
So this stuff still happens to this day. This is not a old school, long gone comparison. These comparisons happen today.
Yep, they sure do. And they happened yesterday. So let's talk about the history of bestiality. God,
yeah, where does this
nailing my segues today, Kyle.
Where does this come from, Mike?
All right. Well, first of all, bestiality is also called zoophilia. And it's probably zoophilia.
But then we get confused with people that love Zooey Deschanel.
Right,
it's so difficult.
Exactly. So I'm going to say zoo as consistently as I can. If it comes out zo at some point, fucking deal with it and don't at me. I don't care. Zoophilia. So that's when a person experiences a sexual fixation on non-human animals. And I love that because people are animals. You can't just say into animals because humans are animals. That's a fact. So
yes, and also we generally agree when we talk about animals, we are talking about non-human animals. So we clarified it once, and you don't have to say it now every time.
Right. I won't. Except I do think it's important that we say that as often as possible, because the Christian fuckface assholes that are using that word against our community also don't think people are animals.
Oh, boy. Because we're better than them or something?
Yes,
like we're not animals? We're better?
Because
Okay.
God said so.
Oh.
Right? He created all the beasts on whatever day it was, and he created people later because we're better and newer and different.
Well, if I had this information, I'm going to throw out my research. I didn't know God created beasts a different day.
Yeah.
Who knew I just needed religion this whole time?
I mean, you never know. Anyway, so
Yeah.
But the thing is, zoophilia really is like a love for animals or a sexual interest in animals, and is not necessarily the act of having sex with animals. And that's where bestiality, when we say that, usually means some kind of sexual activity with animals.
Yeah.
Now, there is some medical research about it, and medical research suggests that some zoophiles, I just did it. Fuck my ass, Kyle. Some zoophiles only become aroused by a specific species. Some are only into horses. Some zoophiles become aroused by multiple species, which may or may not include humans. And some zoophiles are not attracted to humans at all, just aminals. As far as the history is concerned, there are prehistoric caves that have paintings of people banging animals. And so it's clearly been going on for at least that long. And doesn't seem to be much shame about it when they're like, here's a picture of me spearing an ox, and here's one of me fucking it. Like,
I thought spearing was the fucking.
Yeah. But there's no great shame or evil if you're just like, keeping a diary for everyone to read on your cave wall.
Yeah.
There are some references in Hindu scriptures to religious figures that engage in symbolic sexual activity with animals. There are explicit depictions of people having sex with animals that are on the thousands of sculptures of life events on the exterior of the temple at Khajuraho.
Are you okay? That during that you sounded like you were fading or something.
Well, I was trying to say it like a cat. So in some Hindu traditions, apparently having sex with an animal was believed to be a human having sex with a god incarnated in the form of an animal.
That sounds like a rumor that cats spread. They were like, no.
Yeah, right?
Definitely have sex with us.
Right. Yeah.
We love it.
No, don't fuck your cat, everybody. But in some Hindu scriptures, like the Bhagavata Purana and the Devi Bhagavata Purana, having sex with animals, especially cows, because they sacred, leads you to hell.
That's a weird. Okay, not that I want to defend having sex with cows, but that's a weird. Not only about bestiality, but that's also about the view of sex. Sex is it's not about. It's a violation. Any sex is a violation or something I don't know. I didn't expect. I thought you were going to say.
I'm okay, Kyle. I know that we are on lists. Like the government keeps lists on search histories, and we're for sure on all of them
because of our weird shit that we look up for this show.
But whatever was left definitely filled it today.
Yep.
Yep. I read so much about bestiality, and there's a whole thing about how some people defend bestiality when it's with bigger animals because. You're less likely to hurt them, so that makes it okay. So they're like, go ahead and fuck cows. It's not going to hurt the cow. They're huge.
Yeah, well, it's just like with gay men, it's less hurtful the bigger their anus is.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I could see that. A rat's butt is probably real tiny.
Right. So,
versus a cow's butt is huge. I could fit a bunch of dicks in there.
Yeah.
I actually see the logic. I
Yeah,
unfortunately see the logic in that.
Yes. Yes.
What are you doing?
Okay, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so the Western tradition, this is where shit gets real. So bestiality was mentioned in the book of Leviticus, and it was mentioned in the book of Leviticus right next to the gay stuff. Right. So it's man do not lay with man is right next to do not lay with beasts. So there is, at least by proximity, a certain amount of familiarity between the two concepts in the Bible. But they weren't equated. They weren't like they weren't hooked together as being like the same kind of sin or like even like weighed against each other. They just were near each other in Leviticus. And for most of the early Christian era, bestiality was basically no worse than masturbation. It got a little worse over time, but not by much. So do you know what a penitential is? A penitential?
When I'm about to fuck a Pentecostal person?
Yeah.
They're my penitential?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep. Also, it's the name of a book that clergy would write to sort of provide guidelines for what the punishment should be for different kinds of sins.
Oh,
So
okay.
like you would go and you would confess, and at the confession, then, you know, the priest would say, hey, you know, you did these bad things, so here's your punishment.
Hail
for these
Marys,
crimes.
for some reason, is in my mind of what people say at confessionals. Like, you always do, like, apparently if you do 10 Hail Marys, you're mostly forgiven for anything.
Yeah, there's like praying the rosary and Hail Marys and shit like that. But it could get more like fasting or self-exile or other kinds of ascetic treatments, like needing to whip yourself, or like there's a whole bunch of different ways that could take. But the most common one, especially in media, is right like the Hail Mary. Anyway, the penitential of Cumean, which is super super old. That's like 4th century. Anyway,
Before I was born.
says, yeah, same girl. Says so dude on dude sex is 7 years of penance,
Okay.
which is more than banging your own mom, which is only 3 years. Unpremeditated murder, which is only 3 years, and bestiality was only 1 year. So at least at that time, in the like hierarchy of shit, bestiality was like way down the list in terms of badness, and also gay shit, the very top.
And also, I'm no, like, proponent of mom fucking, but the same as murder?
Yeah, right. Well, unpremeditated murder. I guess premeditated murder, like that's the death penalty, right?
Still, I mean, yeah. Okay, that's wild. Wow, being gay was very bad.
Well, you know, that's what they thought.
Yeah.
So then there's another penitential, the Penitentiale Theodori, which you sent me a big study about that.
Oh,
thank you.
yeah.
That's 8th century. There was an Anglo-Latin penitential collection of Archbishop Theodore of Canterbury, his judgments about stuff, and that's the first time in writing that bestiality and sex between men are compared. So in it, he says that he who often commits fornication with a man or with a beast should do penance for 10 years. So they are the same, and the punishment is 10 years. So there's usually when people write about this, they say that the two sins were put together to dehumanize men who have sex with men. But at least according to this author that you sent me the paper from, it suggests the opposite, that bestiality was elevated to a serious sin because it was put on the same pedestal as gay shit. So,
Because the thing before that actually said it was only 1 year. And
Right.
now they're like, no.
it's 10
bad.
years. They're both 10 years, and it's real bad. And so basically the association wasn't bringing gayness down. It was bringing bestiality down to the level of the gays.
Yeah.
So that's, you know.
Weird. That reflects how poorly we viewed gay people. That more is like what I take away from that. That sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this paper that you sent me was super interesting because it also mentions that some of this is probably a cultural shift, that in England, people started thinking of animals as not just objects. They started thinking of them as having personalities and anthropomorphizing them. And so that's when the sin of bestiality starts getting worse in the eyes of people. Because if it's just masturbation, if you're just like, if that clucking chicken is just a flesh jack, then, you know, that's not as bad as, like, you know, mother hen who like cares about her babies, like you violating her, you know? What?
You just gave me a lot of imagery that is overwhelming. I just got so overwhelmed I shut down. I didn't know what to do with what you just said to me.
Great.
It's fine. I need to get over it because that's going to be this entire episode.
Yep, the
But,
whole
okay.
episode. So at some point, the death penalty became the punishment for both gay sex and for bestiality. And that was all the way up until 18th century in Western Europe and colonial America by extension. So apparently between 600 and 700 people were executed for bestiality in 17th and 18th century Sweden. Sweden. And in one bestiality case in the United States, in colonial Plymouth, 16-year-old Thomas Grazer was forced to point out the sheep he'd had sex with from a lineup and then had to watch them be killed before he was executed.
Can you pick a sheep out of a lineup? Is that sheep racist?
I'm guessing it's the ones that were smoking. But
or the fur is matted down because there was just a load shot on it.
Oh, God.
That's hard to get. You need some warm water and maybe some detergent to get that out of your sheep.
I'm going to wash that cum right out of my sheep. I don't know, man.
What's that?
I don't know, man. Okay, so apparently some witches were accused of having sex with the devil as an animal.
Oh.
So he would turn into an animal, and they could then bang the devil.
Sure.
But even though they were accused of that and confessed of that, read the Crucible, y'all. Some crazy witch trial bullshit happened. I guess in some places, bestiality laws were based on the belief that sex with an animal could result in babies.
Oh.
Like, we didn't understand how pregnancy and sex worked.
Yeah,
so
that
it was
seems like that's not true.
Don't fuck that dog because you're going to have a dog baby person.
Yeah. I guess I could see, like, before we knew stuff to be like, ooh, that's going to make a weird dog-human hybrid monster.
Well, that's why that bestiality, that death was prescribed to both the humans and the animals. So
it couldn't, if it got accidentally pregnant during that time.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So you had to kill them both. Let's see. You said you had some stuff about bestiality law.
Yeah,
also,
yeah, a little
but the last few things about bestiality law. Apparently, bestiality is still legal in 2 states. Do you want to guess which ones?
Arkansas?
Nope.
California?
No, it's West Virginia. That checks out. And New Mexico.
But the reason bestiality is legal in some places is because when we went through the process of decriminalizing like sodomy and stuff, sometimes those were already like paired together, so they accidentally decriminalized bestiality as well.
Sure.
So then they had to recriminalize bestiality as a separate kind of law, and it's state by state. So I don't think there's actually a federal law that criminalizes this.
That's fucking interesting.
And God, I'm gonna fact check that before I post that, or I won't. Who knows? And so it's like been state by state. And am I just stealing your thunder? Do you have more?
You're doing great.
One of the challenges that we have in criminalizing bestiality, like kind of getting it back on the books, is that how do you differentiate it from things that farmers do? Some farmers inseminate animals, or
animal
do things
husbandry
to like get them horny and stuff, so that helps. Like, so how do you got to try to find a way. We can talk about that separately of like what part of that, I don't know, but like no one, for some reason, farmers are the untouchable people that you can never make a law against. They're America's backbone, or well, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
So like they had to try to make laws that criminalized it, but in a way that didn't criminalize farming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Have you ever seen like a bull? Like
whatever you're about to say, no. Okay, wait, but what have you seen?
I said bull, and I shouldn't have. A cow, artificial insemination. You literally wear like a shoulder high glove and J-lube up like your entire arm so that you can shove a vial full of semen like all the way up in there.
When you started saying you have to wear, in my mind, I thought you were going to say like a white and black spotted like like outfit or like a cow mask or something. That's where I thought you were going.
You have to do the sexy cow dance.
Moo, moo, moo. You moo. Oh no. Oh boy.
Yeah. It's just it's a lot, and if it weren't for like to make baby cows happen, it would definitely be problematic.
Yeah. Weird.
My 2 like random things, and we can talk more about it. In Hungary, apparently, there are no legal limitations to pornography that involve animals. So there's a rather large industry, kind of underground, but not really, that produces a number of films and magazines, particularly for Dutch companies such as Top Score and Book and Film International. And apparently they're even non-human porn stars, like a Great Dane named Hector, who starred in several films.
I mean,
good for you, Hector.
I guess so, but couldn't we get a better porn name?
I don't
like. That's not the best porn name, you know.
But for a dog,
yeah.
I don't know. Champ. Like, what do you want to name him?
I don't know.
All right.
I'm trying to think of one, but I'm not coming up with my animal porn names are not at the tip of my brain, unfortunately.
Well, I would encourage you later, if it comes into mind, just yell it out.
Just yell.
And then last, apparently in Japan, they have serious censorship laws around pornography, but because of a quirk of Japanese law, if the penis isn't a human penis, it's okay. So they use animal pornography to bypass censorship laws. So often there will be models that perform fellatio on animals because oral penetration of a non-human penis is not in the scope of their pixelation censorship law. While primarily underground, there are a number of animal pornography actresses who specialize in bestiality movies.
Did you? Okay, I also read a bunch of stuff about bestiality and found my way onto weird forums that
yeah.
I like got up. It was upsetting to do this.
Yeah.
Did you?
I multiple times had the I don't want to yuck anybody's yum, but yuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's part of this conversation is we talk about yucking people's yums when it's doing something consensual between humans is usually our discussion.
I read a bunch of forums of people who are like, I'm sure my dog is into it. I'm like, oh, that is a lot to unpack.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I think we should get there. I think we should go through this info and then kind of have that conversation because we need to. But speaking of this, actually segues in the DSM.
Mm-hmm.
Zoophilia is listed in the latest version, the DSM-5, under other specified paraphilic disorder.
Okay.
So paraphilia is an experience or intense sexual arousal to atypical objects, situations, fantasies, or behaviors. So it's not just that it's paraphilic, it has to be a disorder, which means, so for it to count, for zoophilia to count in the DSM as a disorder, the interest must be recurring and intense. It must be present for at least 6 months. And it must cause marked distress or impairment in important areas of functioning. That's what makes it the disorder part of this.
Yep.
Which is interesting because why are we limiting it? Isn't anything that is intense, lasts a long time, and causes distress to you that could be anything.
Sure.
That could be drinking water. If I get so obsessed with drinking water, a normally good thing, and I do it all the time and it interferes with my ability to get stuff done because I always have to be around my fridge to get water. I don't know, anything could, if it interrupts your day-to-day life and is intense, anything could be categorized under this.
Yeah. Well, and there's also the opposite or the corollary, right? Of just because you're not distressed by it doesn't mean it's good for you.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes. Okay. So interestingly, there are paraphilias that are listed, and this is other specified paraphilic disorder. So examples they give are zoophilia, necrophilia, coprophilia.
Yep. That's eating poop, everybody.
Into scat. There's clismophilia, which is sexual arousal from enemas.
Oh.
There's...
a really good poop. Pretty great.
Right?
So maybe...
No, wait. Maybe what?
Maybe
you can see being into it?
Yeah, maybe an enema would be get that shit moving.
Yeah. Urophilia, which is urination, the side thought, urination. And telephone scatologia, which is not what it sounds like. It's arousal for exposing unexpected victims to sexual or obscene things over the phone.
Oh, great.
So I think that's a weird collection of examples that they have provided for this, because some I could see necrophilia, others being into enemas. What the fuck do I care?
Right,
Again, this is if it causes disorder or if it causes prolonged issues with your life. So to me, again, that could be anything, but why these examples? Some of those feel okay, necrophilia, that feels like a violation. That's a problem. Whether, like you said, whether or not you have an issue with this. Like, that seems like a problem you got to work on.
Yeah.
Versus like being into like urine. Like,
Yeah.
that's so common. Why would that be in this same list?
If you spend like a prohibitive amount of time doing like with enemas, you might just be a bottom. Like
You might be Dan Carlington. You might be a Dan. That's my new stand-up bit.
but it hardly seems to be like nobody's getting harmed,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Same with water sports, really, right?
Yes.
Like then why care? Why put that in a list of things to be disordered? I don't know. It's
I agree.
odd.
I think there's a weird, like, gayness was in the DSM in the past, and it eventually was moved to like only if it causes you distress. Like, so it seems like this is the like only if it causes distress is the out that they add on to something that maybe might not be an issue. Which I think it still sucks when something is in there, because regardless, that demonizes that, even if you have with all the proper clarifications and like only if it harms you, like I think you're still giving a negative slant to this thing and saying it's like what why include it at all is the question.
Well, maybe it's worth talking about why it happens.
Sure.
So before I go into the why it happens, I do want to talk about this article that I found in the Independent that was why would anyone want to have sex with an animal? Mm-hmm. And Dr. Anil Agrawal published a comprehensive typology of zoophilia in the Journal of Forensic and Legal Medicine. And in that claims that there are 10 different types of zoophile based on scientific and clinical literature. So they are human-animal role players, and those are people who never have sex with animals but become sexually aroused through wanting to have sex with humans who are pretending to be animals. Is that furries?
That seems very different than furries. I think furries or a lot of them very intentionally separate this out. Like, I am not trying to have sex with an animal. Like, right. I am having sex with in this costume. And again, we did in a whole episode, it's not even about sex for some people. For most people, it's not about sex at all. Yeah. So I think it's different. But there's got to be like a small overlap, like more than the general population, because I don't know.
When as it's written, it's like sexually aroused through wanting to have sex with humans who pretend to be animals, like knowing that it's pretend is part of it.
Okay.
Romantic zoophiles are those who keep animals as pets as a way to get psychosexually stimulated without actually having any kind of sexual contact with them. Zoophilic fantasizers, those who fantasize about having sexual intercourse with animals but never actually do. They're tactile zoophiles, those who get sexual excitement from touching, stroking, or fondling animals or their genitals, but do not actually have sexual intercourse with animals. There are fetishistic zoophiles, and those are those who keep various animal parts, especially fur, that are used as erotic stimuli as a crucial part of their sexual activity, typically masturbation.
Why out of all of this is like you just find someone with a collection of fur?
Yeah.
Why did that gross me out more than other things?
I don't know.
It's like, I kept a lump of your hair.
I have a box of cat hair, and it's hot.
Yes.
Sadistic bestials, those who derive sexual arousal from the torturing of animals, known as zoosadism, but does not involve sexual intercourse with the animal. There are opportunistic zoosexuals, those who have normal sexual encounters but would have sexual intercourse with animals if the opportunity arose. Regular zoosexuals, those who prefer sex with animals over sex with humans, but are capable of having sex with both. They will engage in a wide range of sexual activities with animals and love animals on an emotional level. There are homicidal bestials, those who need to kill animals in order to have sex with them.
Oh, boy.
Although capable of having sex with live animals, there is an insatiable desire to have sex with dead animals. And last, exclusive zoosexuals, those who only have sex with animals to the exclusion of human sexual partners. I don't know. There's a big wide array of different ways that somebody might be wired this way or why. But one thing that's interesting that led to a bunch of research being done on it is those violent ones, like homicidal bestials that I was just talking about, for sure, along with like setting things on fire and bedwetting, are part of a cluster of things that occur around childhood to people who end up being serial killers or otherwise sociopathic.
Okay, I read about that.
Yeah.
And they called it the link between there's this there are like more recently, this has been the big concern in bestiality. Like, there's moral rights and animal rights and that, but more recently a concern about the relationship between animal cruelty and interpersonal violence known as the link. Capital L link. Sorry, Zelda.
Yeah.
This is the new link. And
the Triforce. Why is the Triforce going to keep coming up in this episode? Homosexuality, bestiality, and pedophilia. Yay.
Yeah, maybe we need to not connect. I don't know. Other people already connected. But like they said that studies that are done on this are done on prisoners.
Okay.
Not the general population. So while I read something that said, quote, the research suggests that individuals with interest in bestiality likely have a host of atypical sexual interests, some of which may lead to interpersonal offending or use of problematic pornography, end quote. The downside, though, is that there's no direct scientific evidence that's like the link, done on the general population that confirms absolutely that these two things are related.
Yeah.
And so it may be more likely to cause this, but I don't think the science is totally there yet.
Yeah. Well, so there are some things that the science is there on.
Okay.
There are some medical conditions that do account for zoophilic behavior. So if there are sometimes cerebral tumors located in the frontal lobe or in the limbic system or the hypothalamus can lead people to become zoophilic when they weren't before they had the tumors. A very recent case in the journal Romanian Neurosurgery described the late onset of zoophilia in a 42-year-old man who suddenly started engaging in zoophilic behavior following an aneurysm in the posterior cerebral artery. More specifically, he developed a sexual interest towards the hens in his garden, and his wife found him several times having sex with the hens. Unfortunately, he died a few weeks later because the aneurysm burst. Another report that was in the Annals of Pharmacotherapy highlighted the case of a 74-year-old man who developed zoophilic tendencies 5 days after he started dopaminergic therapy for Parkinson's disease. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's. They put him on a medication, and he immediately started having bestiality was part of his life. So there's there's clearly some brain chemistry things that can be true for people that are engaging this kind of behavior. Also, zoophilia has been studied as an early sign of psychosis. So it's something that people can experience right before, in the prodrome stage of a psychotic break. In the 1970s, there was this dude who was a sexologist named John Money.
Nice.
But he did a study and concluded that zoophilic behaviors were transitory or sometimes transitory when it occurred because of no other sexual outlet being available. So that it was like a projection,
almost like a situational thing.
Yeah. So that leads to the bestiality, a connection to gayness, that there are lots of gays who may seek out animals as a sexual outlet because they either can't or won't let themselves give in to their natural sexual orientation of being a homosexual. So I'm just so deeply closeted that I can't, but so then something about that, their brain then imprints on animals.
That's a dangerous kind of thing because if there is some connection and if there is scientific connection, people could use that and very easily misconstrue that to say all when it's actually the shame that people give gayness because by making these connections is part of the root issue, not it's not a critique of what's actually happening.
Absolutely.
It's a weird chicken and the egg.
Yep. 100%. Although I mean, yeah. Same thing with the pedophilia episode, right? If it's true, I don't want to hide from that, right?
Right.
So anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those are some of the reasons why that apparently, have something to do or might have something to do with brain chemistry or the awful, horrific nature of society and making gay people closeted.
Some of the of the 10 types, some of them were violent and clearly bad. Like there's no, we don't even have to discuss the moral implications of like killing an animal and having sex with it. But others that are more about like, I don't know, there's just a variety of types. Some of it clearly can be caused by external situations. Some, like I read something that said like one of the researchers believed that this was an inborn characteristic. So it could be that too. I don't know. Did you read anything definitive on whether?
Yeah. And people making, yes. And people making the claim that it's the same as homosexuality, right?
Yeah.
That like another, they can't help themselves or it's not a choice, like that somehow justifies the behavior, which is something that we also saw in the pedophilia episode.
I do believe that pedophilia, people were born that way. And also we need to remember that just because you were born with something does not make it okay.
Right.
Like that's not why gayness is okay.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
So.
Yep. I agree.
Should I say some numbers?
Say some numbers, Kyle. You have Gata?
A little bit. These are if you look up, like, anyone will come across these same numbers because we have such limited data on this. So one of the numbers I came across was from a 2021 review of 13 different papers that estimated it was prevalent in 2% of the population. Zoophilia was. That was a study by...
That seems like a lot. Like 2% of everyone is a lot of fucking people.
Hold on to your chickens, because here comes back in the 40s and 50s, Kinsey, famous for the Kinsey scale, who did a lot of research. He was like had the more accurate number of gay people account for like 10%. This was one of the questions, one of the things he studied, and he said men who have some form of sexual contact with an animal across their lifespan was at 8%.
Woo! Yeah, get it.
And he said when looking at people that were raised on farms, it's closer to 40 to 50%. That seems to be like almost half of people. That seems. For women, it was, I don't know why it was separated out for pre-adolescents and adolescents, but 1.5 reported bestiality in pre-adolescence and 3.6 in adolescence. So both 2% seems like a big number, like a big percentage. And Kinsey, who I don't know if those numbers also, Kinsey's numbers seem high. He was also right about some of the stuff that he said for his time. But something I read said that, I'll read, quote, considering that humanity has been aware of and legislated bestiality for over 3,000 years, it is remarkable how little scientific knowledge exists on the topic. Yeah. And I think this is something that like we run across. There are topics like this that are just taboo to even talk about, to have our episode name this. And like, I don't like the idea of it being taboo to talk about, because I think we're not going to get anywhere by not studying it. We're not going to get anywhere by not researching it. And in fact, I think directly the opposite. It was going to directly harm our understanding and knowledge of what to do about this. Yeah. Yeah. If we, the more we know about it, understand it, the more we can decide, do we need to legislate this? Are people born this way and we need to help? Like that would train, and clearly you told me other examples, so it's not just that, but maybe some set is born like this and we need to help those people differently and we need to make it okay. I'd rather them talk about it than fucking do this thing in secret, like to kill and fucking animal in secret. Like I'd rather make it a little bit more okay to talk about so that we can deal with the problem. And I think that's what a lot of people don't want to do. They just think talking about it is bad.
Yeah, and the dehumanizing effect of it all, right? Too, like, who wants to be the person that's going to help a pedophile? You know, like, which is so heartless and cruel, and like very non-Christian, actually, unchristian.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah, Christians should be all over this. So, okay, are we to the point where we talk about what do we think about it? Like,
or do you want to play a game first?
Let's play a game. That'll be a fun. I think I would. Yeah.
Great, Kyle. You're gonna play a game called Bestiality or Nay. Are you ready?
Okay. Can you tell me the rules?
The rules are: I'm gonna tell you a philia of some kind, which is a sexual interest or act of having sex with something, and I want you to tell me if that is bestiality or not.
Okay. There are various types of philias under the bestiality umbrella.
Are you ready?
Oh, God. I thought we were going to have a fun, lighthearted, like, you remember Toucan Sam? I don't know.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Ornithophilia.
Bestiality, is that?
Correct. That's sex with birds.
Birds? Okay, look. birds seem like the worst ones to have sex with. They're little. They have beaks. They can fly. They can literally fly away from you. Like that. Just okay.
There's 20 of these, so
sorry. Okay, yeah. I also don't have to critique each animal and tell you how fuckable they are.
So if you want to take a stab, if you want to guess what you think it is too, that could be maybe funny. Dacrophilia.
I'm gonna say nay. That's sex with Dax Shepard.
That I'm gonna give you the point for the necrophilia or necrophilia. Woo. Maybe that was a Freudian slip of the dead tongue. You get a point for bestiality or nay. The like your guess doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it matters to me.
But you said nay, which is correct. That's turned on by tears or crying.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Hey, if you're into that, hit me up.
Hoplophilia.
I'm gonna say bestiality. I don't have no idea. Into rabbits.
It is not. It is turned on by guns. So all of Florida.
America.
Lactophilia.
I'm gonna say nay. I'm gonna say that's into like milk or milking.
Turned on by breast milk. That's correct. Gerontophilia.
I'm gonna say nay. That's into giants.
Nay, that's turned on by elderly people.
Oh.
Let's see. Next, kleptophilia.
Nay. Are you sexually excited by stealing things?
That's correct. Turned on by stealing things. Podophilia.
Yes, just because I haven't said yes in a bit, and I don't know what that would be, but
it is not. It's being turned on by feet.
Oh, I should have. Yeah.
Melissophilia.
Nay, that's being turned on by Melissa Joan Hart.
It is. It's sex with or arousal from bees.
Okay, I said birds were one of the worst ones to have sex with. Bees? Oh my god. They jizzed over a bee movie.
Yeah, probably.
Or they honeyed their pants.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Okay. Let's see. Dendrophilia?
No, that's into Arma and Greg.
That's turned on by trees.
Oh, trees. Okay.
Batrachophilia.
Yes, you're into bats.
That's yes, but it's sex with or arousal from frogs.
Again, not the best. You know, there's some. Okay.
Ribbit. Herpetophilia.
Because they can puff up their chests, and that's sexy.
Yeah.
Bold, confident.
They're bulgy throats.
Yeah. Their long tongues from across the room. No. Wait, what'd you say?
Herpetophilia.
No. Something about grass?
It is. That's sex with or arousal from lizards.
Oh.
Brontophilia.
Yes. I'm going to say yes, because that sounds like a dinosaur.
No. That is being turned on by thunder.
Oh. Boy, that sucks. That time, you got to work out that timing so specifically.
Yeah, you're just like chasing the storm all
Yeah.
the way across the plains just
that's
so you
what
can get off.
That's what the movie Twister was about.
Absolutely. Delphinophilia.
Dolphins, yes.
Yes, that's sex with dolphins. Cynophilia.
No, into sinuses.
That is yes, that's sex with or arousal from dogs. Fornophilia.
No, I don't know what that is.
No, and it is getting turned on by using humans as furniture.
Oh, I've seen that in Dom Sub videos. Yeah.
Equinophilia.
Yes, into horses.
Yes, into horses. Arachnophilia.
Yes, into spiders.
Yes, into spiders.
Okay, sorry. New worst one.
Formicophilia.
No, because you're into Formica?
Yes, that is sex with or arousal from insects crawling on you.
Okay. Oh, ew. Ooh.
Yep.
Oh.
And the last one, emisphilia.
No, it's arousal to being skinny.
That is yes. That is sex with or arousal from turtles. So out of 20, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So
that means I lost.
That means you lost. But
you know what? Losing at a bestiality game, I might be okay with that.
But I did want to talk briefly about, I don't know how many of those are actually real. So emisphilia, I put it last on purpose because it's apparently It was discovered by Dr. Daniel Schechner of the University of Hawaii in 1959. He dedicated a brief portion of his monograph, The Varieties of Sexual Experience, to this fetish. In the book, he mentions a native Hawaiian islander known to the reader as Mr. Gore, who confesses a strong sexual attraction to creatures belonging to the order Testudines. The thing is, it was all made up. It was absolutely fake. It was totally made up. There was an article on the topic written by June Torbati in a 2007 issue of the Yale Daily News, and she provided the background to the fake paraphilia. And apparently, Johann Behan is the name of somebody who, on purpose, made fake Wikipedia articles that sounded as real as possible in order to try to disrupt the system. So he said he created many fake articles for Wikipedia, the most successful of which was the entry on turtle fucking. To ensure others would find the article believable, he had to do more than just write one entry on emisphilia. He created several others relating to the fake fetish and linked them. Quote, "It's an art of creating a web of phoniness," he said. Additionally, striking an academic tone was important to creating an air of legitimacy. You need to write it in a way that makes it sound like it's something possible. If you write it like an authoritative pronouncement, it tends to work better. Anyway, so like it's like that sex with tractors thing that took off that's not actually real, like that totally is fucking made up.
Or that birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real. There was a case in Australia of a man that supposedly died banging a crocodile. Did not happen. It's interesting. People love to lie about fucking animals, Kyle.
Dog the Booty Hunter.
Dog the Booty Hunter?
That's a good porn name, right?
That's fantastic.
Sorry, you were still saying stuff.
I'm glad you did it. No, that's it. Just like I think it's so taboo that people want to believe things about it.
Well, why would someone make up this weird thing if it's not real? Like if it's so absurd, it seems like then it would have to be true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I could see that.
I will say that though for sure dogs and horses are real. That's typically in some studies what the top of the list is.
Top indeed. So what are your views on, like, should it be more accepted? What do you think about bestiality, Mike?
I think that the crux of the situation is consent. Mm-hmm. Animals can't consent. Maybe some gorillas can. I don't know. But and maybe some dolphins can when we get that secret decoder ring figured out. But to me, it's about consent more than anything else, right? And no, your dog can't consent. Like, it can look lovingly into your eyes as you rail it, but that doesn't mean it's actually into it. So I mean, I think that like other paraphilias, everything we need to approach people with their humanity in mind and with compassion, and it's I don't think a victimless crime. I think animals can't consent, and making them do sexy stuff with you is a violation. So therefore, not great. I don't know. How about you?
I listened to this lecture on the podcast called Gresham College Lectures, episode from 2020 called Loving Animals by Johanna Burke. And she talked about some of the things that I was really trying to think about this and trying to not have my judgmental attitude and really think about it. And you're right, consent is absolutely one of those big things. She talked about there are a lot of things we do with animals. We cuddle them. They lay in bed with us. We kiss them. We pet them lovingly. We treat them as our own family. There are a lot of ways we treat animals. And
also, don't fuck your family. Everybody, go ahead.
Depends. Step, that seems to be every porn is your step whoever. And she also talked about the fact that animals, we often view animals and bestiality through the lens of violence, something negative or bad is happening to them, and don't view animals as having their own independent life world. They have sex drives. They have desires and libidos, and they masturbate for pleasure, and they have sex with other animals for pleasure. They have sex with other animals outside of their species for pleasure, sometimes consensually, sometimes not. They have their own world, and they deserve to be valued. So I guess she didn't really say it directly, but I guess she was arguing that there is a kind of love for animals that can be acceptable or something. She didn't get me there yet. I still agree that like I think I do start to like, let's pick the extreme example of like, can a gorilla consent? But like I don't think that like animals can truly understand what is happening, even if they can sign the word yes or whatever. Can they like truly understand what is happening here? And I don't know. So your dog can look like he's into it, but I still have an issue with like the consent and even if they seem into it, how much do they understand about what's happening, what pleasure you're getting from this, and what you're kind of doing to them? Yeah, I think the view, it was interesting reminding like animals have their own agency and deserve to like live basically and have their own sex drives. That was an interesting reminder that was like someone trying to view it from a different angle, but it didn't convince me that that's okay.
Yeah, I remain unconvinced as well.
Yeah. That's the verdict,
oh my God, Kyle!
What?
We didn't talk about horse dicks even once.
Well, now we did. What?
I think it's really interesting that we talk about like dudes with big penises are hung like a horse, hung like a mule, hung like a donkey, hung like a rhino, hung like an animal. Like we're talking about fucking bestiality. It's an inhumanly large penis. It's an animal dick. Like,
and that's like sexy and okay.
Yes, isn't that like what the fuck?
So okay, if you judge,
show me your horse cocks, everybody.
There's no such thing as 10-inch horse dicks. Nope. That's not true.
Well, horse dicks for sure, like actual horses.
But if you judge people that like do the consensual thing of either. Not all furries. It's for most of them. It's not about sex, but for those where it is, that go for it, or like, having sex with people pretending to be animals. All of that is like, no, like that part is cool. Like you're consenting, you're adults, it's happening, and if you feel like it's gross, like that's a good entry point in my mind of like we talk about horse hung, and that's okay. Yeah. So there's something there to comparing to animals that we've all kind of just said is acceptable socially. Yep. So. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. In the Patreon, I'm going to talk about 10 countries where bestiality is a thing.
Wow. Okay. And I'm interested and scared.
Yeah, me too.
Whew. And U.S. is amongst them. Like, we should make sure that we are no scapegoat. Wait.
Man.
I don't know.
Should we take a break?
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
So are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're going to do our gayest.
Back.
We're going to do our gayest and straightest.
We're going to do our gayest and straightest. But first, you motherfuckers, tickets are on sale now.
Yeah.
For our live show.
They went on sale May 1st.
There is a promo code in the Patreon app that will get you 50% off. So be sure to use that. If you're a Patreon member. And go to gayishpodcast.com/live. All of the links to the tickets can be found in there. Sunday, June 4th in New York. Friday, June 23rd in Seattle. Saturday, July 29th in Chicago. Sunday, August 13th in San Francisco. Sunday, September 10th in LA. And Sunday, October 15th in Houston. We would love to see you beautiful little faces.
And wonderful fuckers. My fuckers. Mm-hmm. If you think you're going to go, please, both buy a ticket now because you get a discount because they're on pre-sale right now. So buy a ticket. Except New York. Buy a ticket now for you and also for us. It helps us to know that people are going to show up, because if no one shows up, we're not going to do a show there. Yeah. So please make sure you buy tickets now and bring your friends, and it'll be a lovely time, and you'll get a drink with your ticket, and that'll be great.
Yeah. Also, everyone.
Yeah.
We've been doing a Gayish Spotlight segment and putting it on the Patreon app.
We've been doing it, meaning we've done one so far.
We did two.
It's not up yet.
Oh.
We will publish a second soon.
Okay, great. But yeah, we had Queers in Your Ears, which is a podcast. We did an interview with them, and we did an interview with Brad Shreve from the podcast Queer We Are. And even though it's on the Patreon app, they're public posts, so anybody can go and listen to them there.
I've really liked both of the conversations we've had. Go listen to both of those podcasts. I think They're really interesting conversations about the people that make these LGBT podcasts, why they make them, what the podcasts are about. Brad's was really interesting. He shared a lot about his story. So whenever that comes out, look out for it, and we'll post about it on our socials. So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
Just a fun extra thing that we want to do.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll do more like interviews and discussions with LGBT podcasters and others that we think are interesting.
Business owners, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like important people.
Yeah.
Not important people. Whatever.
Regular people.
Yeah.
Animals.
Okay, it's time for the local gay bar review.
Ooh.
Okay, this time I'm going to talk to you about Boston, Massachusetts, and the bar is called The Alley, which is in an alley.
Good name. Good name.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, went there. It's an adorable space. There's like an upstairs, not like another floor, but like a loft kind of area. A big wraparound bar, lots of booths, and saw lots of different kinds of people there, which is always a big thing for me. But on this particular evening, the upstairs loft was taken over by like a pup/leather event of some kind. So there were a bunch of pup hoods and like a boy in full latex running around. And there was a tour guide up there. He was Pup Sticks was his name.
A tour guide?
Yep. We went up the stairs and we definitely looked tentative, like we weren't sure that we belonged. And so they like gave us a tour guide. Like,
wow.
His name was Pup Sticks, and he's like took us around.
That's such a good idea.
Like
I bet they see that on people's faces and they're like, you don't know what's happening, do you?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was great. It was really, really great.
That's cool.
And then I got recognized twice.
Wow.
There independently
because you're so famous.
It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same people. It was one person that was one booth over that was like, "Are you Mike from Gayish?" I was like, "Yeah." And then Tito Burrito was there.
Hi Tito.
Ran into Tito Burrito that evening, and then Kyle, I got laid.
Oh,
5 dildos.
Yeah, confetti.
You know, at least a half of one of those dildos is just to spite you.
I'm so happy. We made it happen together, everyone.
Yep.
They said, all the haters said it could never happen.
Yep. Here we are.
I have 2 things.
Great.
If you are a Patreon member and you're listening to this the day before and it's Wednesday still, our happy hour is tonight.
Oh yeah.
So come hang out with us. If you're not a Patreon member, it already happened because you don't have access to this.
There's always next time.
There's always next time. So it is Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. The details will be posted to Patreon, so check Patreon for that info. And we're really excited. This year we're going to be sponsors of Trans Pride Seattle. So
yeah.
Now more than ever, it's super important to have positive trans visibility, trans celebrations, trans pride, trans joy. There's an organization that puts on Trans Pride and has before. So it's if you're in the Seattle area, you can check them out. It's on the same day that we're doing a show separately. So, go to one and then the other. But yeah, we're excited to be sponsors this year.
Everybody's like doing all this hand wringing, appropriately so, about all the anti-trans legislation that's going on in this country right now. If you want to do something about it, get your goddamn checkbook out and give some money to some trans people.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, our website is gayishpodcast.com.
We are on social at Gayish Podcast.
Our hotline, you can send us text messages or leave us voicemails, especially if it's your Gayest and Straightest, is 5855-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rates apply. Oh, and momsplaining. Get your momsplaining questions in.
Oh, yep. If you want to join our Discord or our Facebook group or our spaces, we have all those links there at gayishpodcast.com/contact, so you can find all that. And then if you want to email us, our email is gayishpodcast@gmail.com.
And our physical mailing address is Post Office Box 19882, Seattle, Washington, 98109.
USA. Gayest and Straightest?
Yeah, let's do our Gayest and Straightest.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay, great.
My gayest is when you and I went out for drinks. We pretended to be on a date to get someone to stop talking to us.
Yeah, we did.
He did drop a little bit of knowledge on us where he said there's no shame in the game if there's a little Hershey's kiss, which I immediately wrote down because I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
If you're having sex with someone, there's a little Hershey's kiss.
Yeah.
It's okay. It happens.
Yeah. Well, and not our first rodeo with that particular gentleman either. He had hit on Marty.
Yep. He was there with your... others, and he didn't remember that we had already talked to him before.
Yeah,
I don't think.
It is great.
My straightest is yesterday watched the movie Dude, Where's My Car?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that movie at all?
I just remember the dude and bro being written on their backs.
Yeah, Sweet and Dude.
Sweet and Dude. Yeah, there you go.
That movie was about aliens.
Oh, great.
Their entire time, it was like aliens were on Earth trying to find something.
Excellent.
Like, I just completely forgot. Like, my friend asked me, he was like, do you remember what that was about? It's like, yeah, finding a car. And he's like, no, it was about aliens. It was also transphobic, which sucks.
Oh.
Came out in like 2000 or something.
It's a different time.
So
I hope.
I mean, not different enough. It's kind of like a lot of things were transphobic around that time and didn't even. Yeah. Anyway, that's my straightest.
Great. Well, so the gayest thing about me this week, I apologize in advance because technically it's 2 weeks in a row of exactly the same thing.
I've done that with Kraken.
Dakota, the hot trainer.
Oh, yeah.
This morning, in an even skimpier tank top, I had to train with him.
Oh.
So it wasn't just from across the room. It was like he was like touching me and moving me to do things different, and like I could see the his cleavage was kind of popping out the top of it, and he smelled amazing. Like whatever body wash or like deodorant like was here. Oh man. Okay. Dakota is the gayest thing about me this week. But then the straightest thing about me this week was to throw him off the trail, I guess. I don't know. I started talking to him about hockey, which the sum total of my hockey knowledge comes from being at the bar with you. We're on a date.
Yeah, on our date.
Because the Kraken are the Stanley Cup playoffs and the Seattle Kraken. Yeah, so I was like, do you follow hockey?
But now
Please
you know
touch me more.
that you know about the playoffs. That's some good hockey knowledge.
Yeah,
that seems. Yeah. I forgot. In addition to watching Dude's Where's My Car, we stopped it so my friend could turn it on to the hockey game where the LA, I'm going to say Hawkeyes,
Kings?
We're playing. Yeah, that sounds more right. We're playing against the Edmonton Oilers, and Edmonton won.
They have a big mall there.
That's cool. That's gay.
Hey, Canada, I see you.
That's I know what's up. Oh, hey, Canadian Discord.
Yeah. A listener's gayest or straightest. This time, my favorite kind comes from voicemail.
Hey there, gentlemen. This is Kyle calling, and yes, another Kyle, but I'm older than Kyle, so I came first, and so I think that means I win, right?
Yes,
That's how that works?
Yep.
So calling in with my gayest and straightest. My straightest is that I fell through a hole in the floor at my dad's house and scraped up my shin really bad, and there was no antibiotics or anything to treat it, and so I just poured vodka over the open wound to disinfect it. And my gayest is that when I met the contractor over there to fix the hole in the floor, he was asking me if my shin was healing up nicely, and I told him the story of pouring the vodka on my shin, and then I proceeded to tell him that it was the butchest thing I've done in a while, which made him tilt his head slightly at why I would say it that way. So anyways, very much enjoyed the show. Appreciate you both. Have a great night. Bye.
Thanks, first Kyle. Kyle the first.
Thanks, original Kyle. I definitely think that using anything that's not antibiotic ointment as an antibiotic is like, that's straight.
Like Archer did that.
Just put dirt on it or whatever.
And also, it was very early on that I think it was your brother Murph that said to us, like, calling stuff butch is gay.
Yep.
Like dudes don't talk about how butch they are by doing stuff like that. Yeah. So absolutely. That was a great one.
Yeah, thanks. Send them in, folks. That's it. We did it.
That's it.
We talked about bestiality.
We talked about bestiality a bunch. I want to thank and pray that you continue after this episode. Our super gap bridgers. Andrew Bugby, Christopher M., John Crowley, Stephen Porch, Yost Olsel, Harry Shaw, Josh Copeland, Jonathan Montañez, Wadu, Forrest Nail, Patrick Martin, James Barrow, Steve Douglas, Explosive Lasagna, Michael Covington, Just Jamie, Kevin Henderson, Thomas B., Timothy Sora, Dusty Sands, A.E. Coleman, Chris Cacciatorians, and Jerome York.
Good work, Kyle. You did it.
Thank you.
You made it all the way through in one breath.
Mm-hmm.
And not just because of editing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's
Wait,
it.
But that made it sound like I did make it through. No, I didn't. I really did it. Okay, here I go again.
No, God, no. That's it. This has been Gayish from the Chris Ketchatorian Studios. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you.
That's spelled E-W-E. This episode only.
Quit. I'm out. I'm done. We talked about how we feel about bestiality as a whole. I dislike...
Just a whole.
Jesus. I dislike people's connection of it to gay shit.
Yeah.
I think let's pretend there's a world in which I'm just missing out on some part of it, and in the future we're like, oh, there's some, like, everyone was just looking down on this thing. There should be some version of this that's acceptable to society. We just didn't know all that stuff. You got to make a case for that on your own. You have to make a separate case for bestiality if that's what you think should be legal or okay. Like, you got to push for that as an independent thing.
Yeah.
I really dislike trying to grab on to gay rights and that movement as why you think it should make the same progress as gay stuff.
Absolutely.
I think you need to work hard to get people to research this, find the science that says it. You need to make an independent, separate case. And I think it's because I think it often harms the progress that we make by people trying to attach themselves to it. I think a lot of people see a lot of good progress in gay shit and want to attach to it. And there's some of that is good. There's racism within the gay community. We should be connecting those and talking about those two things. I don't need bestiality being attached to it. You need to go make your own case for this issue.
A lot of turgs say that about trans stuff.
That just like, but there is a history that connects trans and gay issues together. They are intertwined through history, through people's judgment and associations with gender norms, gender stereotypes, and gay shit. Like those, like I can look back and find why they're connected through history and time and judgment. And we don't see the, like, originally the gay and bestiality movements were connected. Like, that's just not the case. That's not true. So
I didn't say they were right.
No, I know. It's a fair argument, and I had a real smart response.
Yep.
But do you agree? Do you
Yeah,
like?
absolutely.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay. That's all.